Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Ultimate Flex, a free flexibility, strength, balance, and body awareness course brought to you by ShellyFLEX Athletics. I'm Shelly Airy, and through my online handstand, flexibility, and contortion coaching program, FlexEd, I help people to achieve skills they never dreamed to be possible. I designed this free course with you in mind. My passion is helping people just like you jumpstart or revamp their movement journey by building an incredibly strong foundation that will serve as a springboard for discovering all the mind-blowing things their body can actually do. And I don't want money to be an obstacle to that. So this course is completely free to you in hopes that I can open your eyes to this incredibly worthwhile journey. And hey, if this course leaves you wanting more personalized attention for your body movement goals, there's an opportunity for us to work more closely with each other as your next step. Just simply click the link below this video and we can set up a complimentary consultation. In the last video, we went over the importance of strength and stability training in order to elicit long-lasting results. In this video, we are going to go over some of my favorite drills and exercises for building body awareness for inversions. We're doing this so that when you go upside down, you already have a really good understanding of what your body should be doing and what it feels like to be in proper alignment. In this video, we're going to be talking about body awareness, and we're going to start to work on building some movement patterns so that when you do get upside down, you don't have to think so much about all the different things that are going to be happening if you have a lot of that like muscle memory already developed. So basically what we're going to be doing is working down your body from your toes all the way up to your hands so that we can isolate each part of your body and then put it all together for your handstand. So the first thing we're going to talk about is pointing your feet while you're in a handstand. So this typically is just like a visual preference, like just like aesthetic. But it also really helps for you to lengthen all the way through your legs so that you're not like wiggling. The less movement you have in your handstand, the easier it's going to be to fight for the balance. So we're going to start with pointing your feet. So all you're going to do is sit in your pike position. So not rounding, but really sitting up nice and tall. You're going to engage your quads so your legs are super straight. Notice here I'm not leaning back to pick up my legs. I have hyperextended knees, but by engaging my quads, that's why my heels come off the ground. So what we're going to be doing here is just working on our feet. So you're going to flex your feet, then you're going to point through your foot and then point your toes. Then you're going to flex your toes, flex your feet. You're just going to keep working on this exercise so you can start to isolate the muscles in your foot so that every single time you're up in your handstand, you're really going to be pointing your feet. Flex your toes, flex your feet. 2 more times, point through your foot, remembering to engage those quads, keeping your heels off the floor if you can, pointing your toes, sitting up nice and tall, flexing the toes, flexing the feet, and last time, point through the foot and point the toes. Okay, next what we're going to be doing, so we already started to work on engaging your legs, right? Even just during this exercise, we were really engaging your quads. Another way to test this is to lay down on your stomach. You're going to simply engage your quads by pushing your toes down into the floor and trying to pull your knees off of the floor. So notice I'm not raising my legs off of the floor. All I'm doing is just straightening my legs all the way, still squeezing my butt, pushing my hips down to the floor. So my quads are really engaged and my toes are pointed. Okay, so now I've worked on my feet, I've worked on my quads. Next, I'm going to be working on squeezing my butt. So for this one, you're going to stand up, and what I want you to try to do, and this is often like a way that I trick my students, I'm not going to trick you guys today, but what you will do is squeeze your butt, really pushing your hips forward. My quads are engaged, and what I'm going to try to do is have this line be really flat. And if you notice, when you try to bend forward, if you are correctly squeezing your butt, if you try to bend forward, you actually cannot hinge at your waist while your butt is squeezed. So this is going to be really helpful for when you're up in that handstand and you're trying to eliminate movement. If your butt is squeezed, then this is going to be locked into place. So simply squeeze your butt, push your hips forward, trying to push this nice and flat, and then try to hinge forward You can't do that because you can't hinge at your waist. That's good practice. Next, working on your rib cage. So you'll probably hear this a lot where they say pull your ribs in. So what does that mean exactly? That means you're contracting your core, so you're trying to like keep those ribs down. I think about putting the bottom rib to the top of my hip bone. So I'm shrinking this distance here. You can also think of it as like somebody's gonna come over and punch you in the belly. So you're gonna really brace here, or I call it, my favorite is cat barf. So basically hands are gonna be on your belly and you're gonna make the sound that a cat makes when it's coughing up a hairball, like that, and that like barfing engagement here is actually what will help to keep your belly engaged. And also when someone is cueing you later, such as myself, and they say cat barf, you automatically know what that means. As ridiculous as the term as it is, you know automatically what that means. So cat barf here. And then last but not, well, no, not last, just kidding. Bringing your arms up over your head as much as you can, not losing the cat barf sensation. So you're really trying to open the shoulders, bring the hands as far back as you can. My butt is still squeezed, my ribs are still pulling in, and now my arms are reaching up over my head. So don't let the ribs flare, don't relax your glutes, squeeze the butt, pull the ribs in, opening the shoulders. Another great way to work on this shoulder opener is to grab a chair or any kind of elevated surface. You're gonna be on your knees. You want your knees to be underneath of your hips. You're going to stretch your shoulders by pushing your chest down, 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 down to the floor. This is the same exercise we did in earlier videos. You're gonna push your head down to the floor, really, really stretching here. And now you wanna isolate just the shoulders by pulling your ribs in. So that same cat barf that we just talked about, where you're really stretching through your lat, happens to be the same position that you want to be in your handstand. Okay, so pulling the ribs in, then you want to lift your head so you're looking at your hands. Notice when I lift my head, I'm not letting my head come out like this. When you're in your handstand, you don't want your head to come out. You want to just lift your chin so you can see your hands. Finally, the last part. Well, actually, no, still not the last part. Let's talk about your hands, and then we'll try this last drill. So your hands on the floor. You want the weight to mostly be right in the middle of your hand. It's going to shift back and forth between the back of your hand and towards your fingertips, but for the most part, you want the weight to be staying right about here. Think about it like how you would think about standing on your feet. So when you're standing up, you're naturally going to be swaying back and forth between the back of your foot and your toes. So when you start to fall forward, you're pushing in to your toes to keep you from falling on your face. And then if you're falling backwards, you actually kind of lift your toes off the floor, and that slows you down from falling backwards. The same concept is going to be happening when you're on your hands. So you're going to be doing what I call spider fingers, where you're almost going to be wrinkling the floor up underneath of your hands. So I'm pushing this down, and I'm pushing these down, and I'm actually letting this part of my finger lift up. And then that's not it. So it's not just like a pulling backwards. I pull back just a little bit, and then what I'm going to do is actually lean forward, and I'm going to try to pick my palm off the floor. So that lifting of my palm is really going to push down into my fingers, and that's going to stop me from falling forward, pushing into the fingers. And then if you start to fall backwards, which you really don't want to try to do because it's going to be a lot more difficult to save it, but you would slightly bend the elbows to try to push yourself back onto your fingers. All right, last but not least, we're going to try one of my favorite exercises. If you have a long band, you're going to put it underneath of your shins, and then you're going to sit down inside of the band. And I'm putting it over my shoulders, just like this. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to extend my arms overhead. So what I like about this exercise is you can use it to stretch your shoulders and your back like this, but then what you can do is pull the ribs in. So I'm doing my cat barf while still trying to pull my arms backwards. And the band is actually assisting in pulling my arms back. Then you can add in the hips forward by lifting up and pushing those hips forward, pulling the ribs in. Notice my arms are still behind me. I'm resisting arching here, pulling the ribs in, letting the arms come back, and then you can lift your head. Now you're in your nice handstand alignment, and you even have some weight on your hands to kind of replicate the sensation of you being in your handstand. So, long story short, practice these exercises individually and then start to connect them all together so that you have that muscle memory built in before you start going upside down. Now you should have a good understanding of what your body should feel like while in a straight handstand. Up next, we're going to start getting upside down. I'll see you in the next video.